We have a goal of 70% of our operating budget should be allocated to personnel. At one point in time, we were hovering maybe around 80%. Today, we're at about 75%.
Jives with everything I understand.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And so within that piece of the pie, right now, our pension contribution is somewhere in the range of 30% of payroll. And that's a problem when 30% of payroll is going to pension costs. And so there's three things. I break this down to three things: what we can do locally, what we put in place thus far, and then also how we can work with our state representatives to influence public policy decisions.
Lots of luck there. Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. What can you do locally?
Sure. I think one of the most important things is to have a good relationship with the employees, because that's who we're negotiating with, and it's important to understand their concerns. It always makes the negotiation process go a little bit more cordially and smoothly. Mm-hmm. And there are different things we can do. For example, the calculation of what the pension benefit is. Do we go with the last year of earnings, or can we negotiate something like last 3 years of earnings or last 5 years of the employee's salary?
That's not your discretion.
That's right.
That's no longer in your discretion. For the new employees, it's set by state law.
No, but it's for existing.
For existing, it's vested. Unless you want to be the one to take on the vested rights lawsuit.
So he actually contributes 21% to the pension fund.
So, what else can you do locally?
We can also, put money into the PERS rate stabilization fund to help offset the costs. And we have done that the last 2 years, and certainly that might be one option we can do in terms of the golf course decision.
Okay, let's come back to that. You raised a good point there. Okay.
We also can control our operating costs in terms of, again, having that benchmark of 70%.
Okay, let's go to that for a second. What about this notion of paying off the golf course funds? You are going to assume a golf course loan. You are going to free up cash flow over time.
Yes.
Where should that money go?
I'd say in the near term, the PERS rate stabilization fund would be a great idea in terms of where that money could go. It may be something that would be a year by year decision.
Okay, the stabilization fund. Do you see this as making great progress right now?
Yeah, actually, so in here, there's this one page that shows what our funded ratio is, and right now we're, for fire, somewhere in the 75% range, and our target's 80%. So certainly by contributing to this, that can get us closer to that target.
Do you think that's a good adequate target?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so you think the 80% is a good target for your funded ratio for PERS?
Yes.
Okay. Kathy? Do you think 80% is a good target?
Yes, as a minimum.
As a minimum?
As a minimum.
What do you think is the idea, is the target you want to hit? I mean, I'm not sure what you mean as a minimum.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a set target in mind, but I think we got to be realistic that, as the market goes up and down, that even if you hit 80% today and the market goes down a little bit, it's going to go up and down. So that's why I think we'd be better off to shoot a little bit over and still try to be around the 80% even when the market goes down. But I think 80%, is a minimum. Seems like a good place to be.
And where do you think the golf course money, once freed up, should go?
Well, so I have a little different take on this. Right now, first off, I think that we should pay off the golf course debt. But right now, we're subsidizing the golf course operating fund from our general fund. And that's, you know, where some of the savings, we'll get some savings from not having to put that money into the general fund. And the money that we're using to pay off the golf course, we need to pay back whatever replacement fund that is. So I think we're going to have to set ourselves up on a schedule where we want to replace or, you know, replenish that fund over, I'm not sure what the right time would be, maybe 10 years. So at least a part of that money each year, I think, needs to go back to the replacement fund where the money came from that was used to pay off the debt. After that, I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen, and I would hate to be pinned down today. Certainly the pension stabilization fund would be one, but, you know, I'm ready. I'd like to see the city have a capital improvement program again, and so perhaps some of the money can begin going there as well. But I don't think it's reasonable to ask us today to lock down where that money would go.
Okay, I think I heard 3 questions and I have to answer all 3, but
Go for it. Answer all 3.
Sure.
You did hear 3 questions.
First of all, I don't understand why the city even owns a golf course, but that's probably another question.
That was not one of the 3.
I know. If the money that we get from paying off the golf course, it needs to go back into the essential city services that we have that are being impacted because of the pension situation, which would be infrastructure, the roads, the water, all that kind of stuff. That's what the government's here for, first and foremost, to take care of. But can I address the funding, the
Funded ratio?
Funded ratio.
Please.
Yeah, it should be 100%. Now I understand it's going to fluctuate over time with the market, but the real elephant in the room is that our politicians from years ago have promised these benefits into the future that we're going to have to pay for. So the fact that we're having this defined benefit compensation method gets us into these situations. So while we have to deal with it right now, over time we have to move back to a defined contribution.
Okay.
But is that something we have to go back to the state?
Yeah, you know, we have to figure out with Jerry Brown's help, with the state. I understand there's lots of complications there, but and that's one of the things that Jerry Brown didn't get through.
Okay, so what you're arguing about with him is right now is over DC versus DB, right?
Yeah.
My question, though, that I'm really focused on is the goal of the funded ratio.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
To me, 80% is when you sound the alarm, not where you set a goal. If it starts getting down there.
Now, why would you then say, if that's the case, then why don't you want the golf course money to go into the pension stabilization fund?
Yeah, it's a good point. I could see some of it going there, but I'm not sure how much it's going to help.
Those seem like inconsistent arguments.
Yeah.
On the one hand, you're saying 100%
Right.
is the goal. On the other hand, you guys ain't anywhere near close to that. So why would you not
The problem
want
is
it?
the hole keeps getting dug deeper and deeper, and you know, you put a little bit back in, but the hole's being dug faster than you can put it in.
Well, I understand that. I guess what I'm saying then is I don't understand why you would then argue, taking that perspective, why you would then argue to put the money into other services rather than to paying off.
Well, there's other services that need to be done in the city as well that are suffering because of the lack of the funding. So it's got to go somewhere. Someone has to feel the pain.
Well, if you either make Mark?
Okay, I agree with David. Sell the golf course, first of all. 80% is obviously where we're at, and it's unrealistic to determine that we're going to be at 100% anytime near. So there's got to be some kind of plateau level, and increase it a little bit, maybe to 85 as a goal. But it's unrealistic to me that we're going to get to 100%. What would you do with the money?
My question is, what's the goal?
I would say the goal is 85%. I think that's a reasonable goal, and that's going to take some time. And what would you do with the money? Okay. Obviously, we probably do want to pay down some of the debt, but I look around and I look at the senior services that we have. I've been to the cemetery a few times. I drive into that cemetery. I'm embarrassed to look to my right and see all the weeds and and garbage that's on the side of the road. Even though we have put some money in there, you know, that's something we need to put some money into. We need to put some money into the schools so we have more aides and counselors in there. You know, there's things that we need to put money into that help the citizens in this town. I mean, I like to have nice roads. I like to have new stoplights, but the people in this town need some things too.
I'm not clear on the counselor's idea.
At the high school, aides for the kids, you know, just
Why is that a
administrative.
city function?
I think we can help them with it. I think there's definitely been some help with it. I'd like to see us invest some money in our youth organizations. Maybe a youth, something similar to a town like Concord, where you have a Concord Youth Center.